Has the mood changed at work? Does the climate feel slightly different? Are you suddenly being performance managed? Are you being called in for meetings? Perhaps being put on a performance appraisal? What could that be? And how can I help you understand and unravel that? In this episode, I will be talking to you about a settlement agreement and how a settlement agreement may work as a very effective tool to leave a job that you feel you no longer want to do. My name is Haresh Sood. I'm a direct access barrister, which means you can come to me directly without going through a solicitor. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about settlement agreements. A settlement agreement is a contract between the employer and the employee. It usually has a set of standard clauses which define the terms and the conditions. Once you sign this agreement, it usually means you are going to be waiving all of your rights. When I say waiving, that means giving up your right to bring any form of legal action against that employer. There will always be a standard clause at the start which talks about no admission of liability, and that usually is just the employer saying that they are signing this agreement with the employee without admitting any liability, and that usually comes at the back end of issues which could involve discrimination, some form of harassment or victimization where there's been complaints or a grievance, something that's been ongoing. And therefore what the employer is saying is that we are happy to sign this agreement with you, but we are not admitting any liability and you will be paid X. Many times what happens is a lot of people have various issues at work and they want to challenge those issues at work. So for example, if you get told there's going to be redundancies, or if you are performance managed suddenly, or you feel that there's something not quite right, you are being called into meetings after meetings and your workload is suddenly increasing, there are ways and means of challenging those issues through a grievance. However, there is one route a lot of people sometimes overlook, which is a settlement agreement. Sometimes people are not ready to exit the business and sometimes people want to hold on to their job. However, one thing I do say always is, and I've said this to all my clients over the years, is that once the mood has changed towards you in your workplace, usually it's time to go. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I always firmly believe that as one door closes, another one opens. And you may get a really wonderful role if you leave this job. But how do you leave the job if you're being performance managed? There is a very good way which you can do that through, and that is a settlement agreement. Instead of going down the grievance route, you can ask your employer through something called a protected conversation, which is covered by section 111A of the Employment Rights Act 1996. Now, what that does is it enables you to have a private conversation with your employer to discuss terms in which you may be happy to leave. So you will be able to say, yes, I would be happy to leave if I was offered a year of my salary or half of a year of my salary, depending on what has happened. A protected conversation can normally come at the back end of many issues at work. It can come at the back end of the employer announcing redundancies, or it can come at the back end of you yourself feeling as an employee that there is a problem. There are many instances which I have seen in my working life as a barrister who has done employment law for many years, and that is the initial feeling that you want to challenge various incidents at work. And I completely understand that. I myself have had issues when I was working as an employee, and it is also a very good way, if you choose to challenge them, to go through a grievance route. However, it can also be a very destructive route. And if you know the writing is on the wall, then sometimes it's worth just having a conversation with the employer to say, look, I'm happy to go, how much are you willing to pay me? Or I'm happy to go, how much would I get paid as a compensation package if I left? So to cut all of this short, there are many ways to terminate your employment without falling out effectively with your employer. Now, what I must say is, usually in my experience, when I've dealt with settlement agreements, they have always come at the back end of some sort of employment issue. Very rarely have they come where there is not a problem. The ones that have come without a problem are simply when the business is not viable anymore and they're closing down, or there's no ill feeling and one of the parties is happy to just go because they feel it's also time for them to go. But either way, a settlement agreement can be a very good way to end your employer and employee relationship and call it a day. If a settlement agreement has become a point of discussion for you, and if you are an employee or an employer, please come and talk to me in the free 15-minute sessions. You can self-book these on my website, www.thedirectaccessbarrister.com. I am Haresh Sood, and this is Pancho.